Welcome to the 3D printed wall art mini-series. In this video we will go through the Blender export settings. You'll learn how to export 3D STL files to then use in other applications. Let's continue in Blender. Before we start exporting parts, let's do a few things to make the assembly process more enjoyable. For the square grids, we can use a number on the bottom to tell us exactly which piece goes where. So when looking at the pile of freshly printed parts, we don't have a 3D puzzle on our hands as well. For the round grid, depending on your design, you could apply this as well. But if you just use the array modifier, this will not be needed, as you can print the same part over and over again. There are a few ways to do this. I'll show you one of the easiest ways that I found that at least always worked. Getting into higher number grids like 50 plus pieces, this was the most stable version that worked. It's just a bit more tedious, but you only have to set it up once per project. You can even append a number object or do it in the basis file for future projects as well. I just like to do it in the end because then you have your final design and final pieces of the grid that you want to print. So let's take the square vortex or waves design. I'll go with the wave design as I have plenty of vortex prints laying around already. I like to start numbering from the left top to the right bottom corner. So I'll just face it like it's hanging on the wall. It will just look weird from the bottom side of things, so I flipped the numbers around, but you'll see it when we get there. The easiest way to number the parts is to create a text item and put in some numbers, and then we're going to turn that into a mesh and use the Boolean modifier to exclude that shape from our model. So we're going to hide this round base project as we don't need it for now. And I'm going to my waves part, which we have here, which consists out of 9 pieces. As we can double check that, we have 9 separate pieces. So when looking from top to bottom, as you can see, this one will be our number 1. When we look at it from the bottom side, it's on the right side. So that's what I mean. We have to flip the numbers for them to look normally, and when you look from top, it's fine. So how I came to this numbering range was if you have the piece on the table now and pick it up with your hand and you twist your wrist, then the number should be readable. So that's how it works for me. Now, let's take a look. We're going to tap out of this shape. So we're going to object mode, then deselect, Shift A to create a new or add an object. We're going to add a text object. Now for our grid, we have 3 pieces on a row. And I will hide the waves part for now to make it a bit easier to see for you as well. And with this text, when we hit tab to go to edit mode, you can change the text. And basically we want to go from 1, 2, 3 for the first row. But we want to flip them as well. So we can go 3 and 5 spaces, 2, 1. I'm going to tap out of it. And if I take the waves part back again, as you can see, we are opposite of what we need. But this text item, we can rotate it. So we're going to rotate on the y-axis, that's the green one. And we do a 180. And as you can see, our left top, which will be this number, is number 1 now. We can also go on the right to the data. That's not the one. Where was it? The font, I think. And we can increase the size. going to snap to orthographic mode, and I want about the middle piece, a little bit smaller maybe. So we can go to 2.75. We can tap back into it. Now we don't see anything, so Alt-C. This is a bit tough to see sometimes, but we can also, when we go to the sides, we're going to put G, Z, and then 0.1 minus. So we'll move it just below the other object. So if we tap into it now, we can see the numbers clearly. So let's just space it out a little bit. 2 spaces there, 2 spaces there. I'm going to tap out of it, and now I can move it with Shift Z. So not on the Z axis, but we can just arrange it on our model. Tap into it, one more space on the one, and it's not precisely in center. You can also do this with separate text fields, but I like to do it per row, so that's fine. So we're going to do this by just duplicating this row. So Shift D to duplicate. On the y-axis, we know that our pieces are 7.5 centimeters, so 7.5 minus, and that's fine. Once again, Shift D, Y, minus 7.5, enter. And that's the base of it. Now we're going to change these last rows. So this is going to be 4, 5, and 6. And tap out of it, select the other one, because it's 3 different text objects. It's going to be 7, 8, and 9. So now we have our 3 text objects, and if we look from the other side, with how we started, out of it, the left top corner, which is this one, now has number 1 on it. So this is how we want it. And so if everything's on the table, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We still have to put those on our model. So that's what we're going to do next. I'm going to tap out of this one, select the text. And when you right click it, you can convert it to mesh. This will transform it from a editable text to a mesh with vertices and edges and faces. So you cannot change the numbers anymore now. And we're going to do that here as well. Convert to mesh, and on this one, convert to mesh. So as you can see, the icons here changed as well. We now have objects. And if we select these 3, you can also select them in here by just clicking with Shift. And when you do Ctrl J, that's for join. So it merges all these 3 separate objects into one new object. So now we have a single object with our numbers. So we're going to select that, tap into it, select everything, and then we're going to extrude on the z-axis, and we can do 0.5. Doesn't really matter too much, just so we have a good visual of what's happening. Now we can tap out of it. We're first going to Ctrl A, apply the location, and Ctrl A, apply the rotation as well. So everything's back to 0 and the scale is 1. So this is the definitive position of our object. So now we're going to tap into it, select everything with A, then GZ to move it down. Now we are floating 1 millimeter above the surface, and the general layer thickness that I use is 0.2 millimeters in Bamboo Studio. So we can go 0.14, and this should give us exactly 2 layers cut into our wave design or vortex design piece. So we have the numbers now, they are in the right position. Now we still have to get them out of our main model. So we're going to select that. So select your wave or vortex parts, add a modifier, and search for Boolean, which is under the generate option as well. They're all alphabetically ordered, so it should be in the top. And with that Boolean modifier, you can select the numbers, the object, the text. You can also select it right top corner, and you can even type it here. And make sure that it's on difference. It already works, we just don't see it yet because we still have the object itself visible. So if you select the text now and you press H to hide, or you can use the eye icon in the top right corner, you now have your numbers embedded into your model. And that's how you can easily number your parts in Blender. Now, doing this does mean that as long as you have not applied the Boolean modifier, you have to keep the text with the object. So we can name it accordingly. So for our waves grid, or waves part numbers, you can duplicate it if you want it for a different grid. It now sort of belongs to that unless you really apply the Boolean modifier, but that will change your model as well. Now it's non-intrusive and it hasn't applied it. You can still move it around. So if we now move this one, for example, on the x-axis, as you can see, the Boolean is still active and it will just place it somewhere else on the model. So you can still modify it, tweak it, move it around. So I normally just leave it as a separate object, so it's non-intrusive and you can still change it if you want. It will just calculate this when you want to export parts, and then it will apply the Boolean on itself. It's an option what we'll get to when we start exporting our models. Now, if you have your own very personal 3D design, you might also want to put a watermark on it. This is going to be basically the same techniques, so you should be able to go through it a lot quicker now and it will be a good practice. I'm not going to go into a design for your watermark or something else, so for this exercise we will just put your name on it. We have nothing selected. I'm going to hit Shift A, add a new text, tap into that text, and delete or backspace, put my name in it. And there's also one shortcut key that might be nice to know. On the keyboard you have the / key. This will put you into the single object mode, or I don't know how you call it, but you can use that to toggle in and out a single object so you don't see the rest anymore. This is easy when you want to work on one item. We still have to flip this around. If we can also do that later. We can flip it around now, but we have to apply the rotation again. So we can also first convert this to a mesh, tap into it, select everything, select bounding box center or 3D cursor as a pivot point, then rotate Y 180 and it's flipped around. And then we still want to extrude it, 0.5. And now we can use that same slash key again to get out of it. And I'm just going to put it under the numbers. Select everything, GX, about center, GY. That's about the center as well. Oh, we can even put it here. You can use that square for reference. So we'll just use an array modifier to place this on every single part of our model. Add an array modifier again. And then 3 times. Offset 7.5. Minus 7.5. You go to relative, it will scale it up too much or too little, but you do an offset. You can put in the numbers of your grid. We know each piece is 7.5 by 7.5. And then we're going to duplicate this array, just like how we made the main parts grid for our square pieces. Copy that value, 0 on the X and 7.5 on the Y. And just like how we created the model in the first place, we now have our watermark on every single piece. So now we still have to also duplicate Boolean, and this will be, let's call this watermark, waves watermark. And then click the wave parts again, put that in the same collection. Waves watermark. This has a little bit more geometry, so it takes a little bit longer. But if we hide this now, so we see nothing. We haven't lowered it enough yet. So select it, GZ 0.02. Oh. Yes. You can also, if this is too intensive for your computer, you can first disable the Boolean, then put it in the right spot, and it should be less hard to calculate it while you do that. And if we select this now and we hide it, now we also have a watermark embedded in the piece as well. And there's one more thing that I want to just explain a little bit. I try to create large numbers. So this piece, for example, was in the 9, can easily stick to the print bed. If you go very small, like this, for example, in the A and the O and in the R, those are small pieces that might not stick properly. So I do want to urge you to keep that in mind in your design, that if you have these tiny pieces that should stick on the first layer on your print bed, they can come loose sometimes if the adhesion is not optimal, or just when the nozzle transfers over, or there's still a little bit of stringing going on. So just try to keep that in mind, and if you have issues, just scale it up, because these larger numbers won't cause any issues, because there's enough surface to stick to the print bed properly. So now we have numbers and watermarks on our pieces, and we're a step closer to getting everything printed. So as mentioned before, the numbering for the round parts, if you do it with the array, is not really necessary, but I do want to show you how you can easily add your watermark or something else to it. So we'll just hide this one for now. And let's take a look at the geometric ripple. So we're going to add a text again. Then tap into that, remove everything. I'll take the name again. Let me show you what I'm doing. Now it's still a text, so we're going to transform it to a mesh first. Select everything. rotate on the y-axis 180, then E to extrude 0.5, and now slash I'm going out of the single object mode again. And we can already tell a little bit about where do we want this. So I'm going to tap into it and then move it, select everything, move it on the x-axis. And if you do this in object mode, the array modifier that we'll use will work from that position where you moved the complete object. So its origin has to stay in the world origin center, or at least the center from your circular wall art, if that makes sense. Let's tilt the view a little bit. So if we want to rotate it now with the other piece, so we have to make sure that we're in the 3D cursor, so that's center, and then we can rotate on Z. Okay, and now we're going to add an array modifier again. We don't need an offset on the x-axis. We have 36 parts if I remember correctly, and the rotation on the z-axis was 10. And there we have it. So this will be the geometric ripple watermark. Okay. And the same as before, we go to the geometric ripple part, add a modifier, and we're going to add a boolean. So we're going to select the watermark. This will take some time. Okay. So this is all the parts at once. That might take a little bit of effort. So now you have the watermark on each piece, and if we hide the watermark itself, you have now booleaned that watermark into every single piece. So if you apply all modifiers now and export all the parts, they will all have the watermark on it. That's how you could place a watermark on all these parts as well, in the same direction as the pieces go. That's just something I wanted to show you as well, so you don't need to number them depending on your design, but this is a nice way to do it as well. And you probably don't even need, it's just for the visuals now, but for this watermark, you probably don't need the array if you're only printing and exporting that other piece. You can probably better place it over there. So let's see, RZ 180. So if this is the only piece that you're printing, having the watermark on this piece will be fine. If you print this one 36 times, you don't need the watermark to be calculated onto all these other objects. But that's a quick way on how you can do this for round wall art designs as well. After adding our watermarks and numbers, we are ready for the next step, and that will be to export the parts that we want so we can print them or import them into our slicer software. So we are going to export STL files from our designs that we made. Now for the round part, we will only need this piece. And for the, let's see, the waves part, we can use this as a single object. You could split this into parts here as well, but I like to do it all at once. So yeah, a single STL. because you have everything with the same parameters and same settings when it goes to the slicer software. We can cut it up into multiple pieces there easily, so because they are not connected in any way. So let's start off with the wave pattern. And yeah, I can leave that one visible as well, because there are a few options that you can select while exporting. So we're going to File and then Export. Then we choose the STL option. There are plenty of options to export to different files. It's for different programs, and as mentioned before, there's so many functions and tools that Blender gets used for, and so many different industries that there are plenty of options to export different file types. But we need the STL file for our 3D design. We go to our folder again, and you can't see the other files now, and that's just because of filtering and because we are seeing STL files and our normal files are .blend. So we're going to export the selection only. You can still change selection while you have this window open. It's very nice. And we're going to do scale 10. So we set the scale a couple of times already, but I always have to set scale 10 to get it to the proper dimensions in Bamboo Studio. So that's what I do. And you can choose the forward direction. And I believe for us that's the Y. So then you can name your STL. This will be the geometric waves 22.5 centimeters. Don't know if it will like that comma. Yes, okay. And for the ripple, we can do the same. File, export, STL, and we rename it geometric ripple 22 centimeters. Now it remembered all the choices that we made before, and here you can also select the apply modifiers, by the way. It's important to have that checked as well, because we still have modifiers active. We haven't applied them all before exporting, which makes it easier to make changes afterwards in the prototyping phase and going back and forth. So my preference is to non-destructively edit these pieces, so you can also go back to them when you need it or want to change something. We're going to export that STL as well, and then we also have the center part. I'm going to hide this one. Select the center part, File, Export, STL. You can click the ripple one and add center to it. So we have two different files for our ripple. You could also join those into one unit or file, but because we have the array modifier active, it will array this part as well. You have to cut everything out and it will become destructive editing steps, so you can't go back anymore to tweak your designs that easily. So I prefer to have the center separate from the main parts. Now there's also one more thing to note. If you export this with the array modifier on, you will get all these parts visible as well in your STL file. So if you go to File, Export, STL, and then for example you say geometric ripple, and we export it. If we look in that folder again, as you can see, the normal one is like 600 KBs and the full is 19 megabytes. So it's added all these parts to the model, to your STL file. So that's something to keep in mind if you're exporting. If it's visible here, it will also put it in your export. I don't know how that works exactly, because we have apply modifiers on and it is a modifier. My guide to go by is just if it's visible in the viewport, then it will be exported to the STL file. That's what I go with. So that's it. That's how you can export your files into STL files. And that will be it for this video. You should have some nice STL files that you can use in the next video, which will be about Bamboo Studio.